Welcome to the NiNe Show. This is the land where there's constant chaos.
Welcome to the
NiNe Show, or the NiNe Show. The NiNe Show.
the NiNe Show.
I got my
My
sense
shoulders are so wide I can't even fit in the screen.
Actually, yeah, sometimes I really feel like I'm dumber than myself.
Technically, it's because you suck.
Yep,
But
that
we
is true.
I don't know what to say.
I like how you're like hitting yourself on the head when you're trying to.
Yeah, I'm like, think.
I'm like, fuck, like we think the same.
You tell me before you record.
No, it's recording. Just start.
Oh,
I'll
you're
edit
so
it.
annoying, dude. You're so annoying. When I see you in Australia, I'm gonna slap you.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Do you want me to give you a sneak in my ass?
All right, dude. So
Welcome
whatever.
to the land
Screw
of
an introduction.
chaos.
Yeah, the land of chaos is evident.
Welcome back.
We're here again. Welcome back. We're four regular humans: ENFP, INTJ, INFJ, ENTP. We are the NiNe Show gangsters. We forgot to do that in the last show.
Nine.
N-I. What?
Nine.
I don't know what you guys want
What
for N.
about
Maybe something
any?
like this, like the E and then the N. So it's like a retarded version of the NI one with two. All right. So, anyways, perfect introduction actually, because we're talking about play today, and it's interesting because none of us have it as a savior, but we're all energy dominant. So I guess you'll get a perspective on the energy dominant play and demon play.
Yeah,
So
we're all high
gonna
energy. Let's just do
yeah,
this,
we're
guys.
gonna
Come
go
on, let's
through
do
and
it.
define this. So, actually, let me have Odom go first. Define play for us, sir, especially your kind of play. Actually,
Yeah,
you know what? Save that for a little bit
later.
more detail.
Yeah, later.
But you know,
Yeah. So play is basically expending energy to meet the demands of the external world. That can be in the form of like tribe members, or like that could just be like stuff that just pops up. Like, oh shit, this thing needs to get fixed. Let me do something in the moment. You know, it's just attending to every kind of demand as it happens spontaneously.
Very reactionary.
Yeah, exactly. Reactionary. Not so it's just like jumping in and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much play.
so let's have Asees go and add something if he can.
How would I define play?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, not what I'm doing right now. It's very much for me, with NEFE, just very generally here. It's very much like I'm responding to what my tribe mates are putting down, especially emotionally. Because that's what I care about more. I don't really care about your ideas. You guys are stupid. But I'm sort of making sure that your guys's FIs are all taken care of, and that I understand how, and that it is very high energy, and it's very fun. That is the biggest thing for me, that I noticed, that when I'm truly playing, I'm having fun. And I will literally go around from one person or one subgroup to another. I'm like, hey, and I noticed myself saying this a lot recently, because I've, holiday seasons are ramping up, so there's a lot more stuff, and because everybody has sex way earlier in the year. There's so many birthdays now. It's I noticed, and I noticed myself asking, literally, are you having fun? I'm like, oh shit, that's such an effing play thing to say, but it's like I truly meant that, and that was the most concise way for me to convey my intentions, and check up on you and them and everyone.
Yeah.
And it is very much like, like if we're sitting at a table and it's like, let's say, like let's pretend it's like a long table, like one of those like where there's like a head and like another head and very very long, and I will literally like get up and I'll like just come ask like each sort of subgroup, and it's like that's so different than just being like standing up and being like, hey everybody, having a good time, you know. And maybe that's with me, my DI, I want to be more intimate, but it is the case that I will get up and go expend that energy, something that I'm not very likely to do in most other scenarios. But that's so specifically for that.
That's kind of like feminine play, or like feminine DE play. I mean, because that reminded me of when me and Dave, who is like almost the exact same personality as me, but he's audio, masculine, feminine DE. He was like, "Hey, Leon, we're gonna go outside." When we were all hanging out in a group of people, so why don't you come join us? I was like, sounds good. I was like, you want me to tell everybody? I can just shout it. And then he's like, no, we'll do it nicely, and I'll go individually. And I'm like, okay. It was safe energy, but okay, bro, like, it'd be nice. That's good. Oh man,
oh my gosh.
I want to see what Jono's got to say now about play real quick. After Odom's done wiping his eyes.
All right, yeah. So this is not my one. Yeah, we're not up to that one yet. We're up to what I think play is. Okay, so defining play is basically, you guys did a good job at explaining it, but I'm gonna like double down on like the expending energy for the tribe part. You know, you're doing things not for yourself, but for someone else. That's it in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also just going to be really cut and dry as like minimal OI, like and information as possible. Is play is just gathering information, patterns, or experiences from others. So depending on what kind of play you have, the patterns of the NE play, experience of the SE play, information just in general. So, all right, and let's go into what it's like to have demon play. Let's go with Odom first, please.
Yeah. So demon play with me, just very low energy, pretty much, which is something that I always try and address. So like the most important thing for me is for me to be in a good energy state, because then I feel like if I have enough energy, I can do anything. So I do a lot of things to manage out, like tricks and stuff. I'm doing intermittent fasting. That's helpful. I do like cold showers and stuff like that. Just I do as much as I can, right?
That's the business.
And I think like blast is to do with getting started, but I think play it's not necessarily getting started, but it's kind of like relishing in like the messy process of like doing something. It's quite messy, and I have a preference to avoid that. Like, since I'm safe asleep, I'm like trying to design a perfect system before I jump in and get on with the mess. But because play's third, if my system isn't good and I just have to do it through trial and error, then like I'll be happy to play and just like get in the mess. But I tend I try.
If I have you, I'll be happy.
Exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Alrighty. Sweet. Let's go with Asees now. What's it like being demon play for you, sir?
It's a little awkward. I'm a little sensitive to it. Sometimes it's hard for me to just jump right in. And it is the case that it's easier for me to just go into a pure play form whenever I can sort of piggyback off of my consume. So like my DI can sort of hand the OE off to the FE, and then it's like, oh, your problem now.
Oh. It's like a factory system there.
Right. And so it's very much like fuck my blast.
There you go, switching. He's like, I'll just play instead of blasting.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's very much just keeping things going, going with the flow. For it's sort of because my sleep and my play are right next to each other. It's very much like it's so easy for me to balance them through my consume. So it'll be either consume sleep or consume play, and I've noticed that it's never a lot of emphasis on blast sleep or blast play because I'm missing blast, but it is that the consume sort of mediates them, and definitely a lot more on the side of consume sleep. But
Wow.
it's like fuck.
There we go.
I think we get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made the point.
So Mr. Jono, man, that was good show.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So anecdotally, like low energy levels, I have sleep as a savior. And so my sleep is double masculine, which means my play is double feminine. So I feel like being able to just like get in the moment and move and play with the world around me is like quite, like I don't trust it. It's like, I'm a bit like afraid to just kind of like.
What's that word?
Huh?
Trusting?
Trusting? Oh.
Trusting.
Oh, I thought I heard something completely different. I'm sorry.
Must be my accent, mate.
I thought you said atrocity. I'm like, what?
Atrocity. The atrocity of
Okay.
No, I don't
Keep
use
it
big
going.
words like Asees. He's too.
yeah,
My IQ
yeah.
is not as high.
Jono sits
Way
down
too
when
smart.
it comes to big words.
Yeah, so I get drained easily, and interacting in the environment is like a foreign concept almost. But one thing that's also interesting is that being play is a demon and blast is a demon as well. Like DE for us three, not you, Leon, isn't activated until like our third animal play. So we're very self-focused. So a lot of the time we spend is all going to be like thinking about us and thinking about what we want to do. And part of play is like trying to consider the tribe and trying to like actually get out and do things with the tribe. So I think, fuck the blast. What was I going to say? Where was I going with this?
Fucking love
Oh,
that.
see.
Honestly, no idea. Cut it off.
Full stop.
All right. You missed your chance. No, I'm just kidding. You done? Or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. See what I did right there? I just considered you. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. So selfless, man.
Nah, man. I did that for the attention. So, okay. Being demon play for me, I just feel like I never get enough done. It really sucks. I feel like I have this huge limitation on myself. And the thing about being demon play is like when I'm serious, I'm really serious. But when I'm playing like really hard to an extreme level, but for a short time that I can keep it up. And it's like, I remember when I was like younger and my dad was like trying to get me to go talk to the neighborhood young ladies and stuff. And I was over there like, no, Dad, they said something I hate. I don't agree with it. And like, oh, come on. Your brother's out there talking to all the girls and there's going to be none left for you. And I'm like, Dad, we're like 8 years old. Chill out. Like, I don't care. Like,
Oh, man.
It's funny, man. But I'm so glad he pushed me to like go out and do stuff. Because like learning how to interact with the tribe is so crucial for like a good life. Because like you can be all into yourself and whatever, but like you're nothing without somebody else.
So how many girls did
a lot of qualities you don't have.
So how many girls did you meet?
Dude, you know what? I don't want to talk about it. Like, but I did have one friend, Savior Play, dude. He like literally, he was like 380 pounds at one time. He's my homie David. Shout out to David.
Shout out to David.
Dave, yeah, mate.
Bless Dave.
He picked me up literally, like he's 6'3", 6'4". He like picked me up in a party and dropped me in like a circle of like just women talking to each other. And he goes, bam, double masculine. My friend Leon thinks y'all are hot. And he smacks me and walks away. And I'm like, oh, What's up?
That's so-
Sorry for that.
Damn.
I walked over 3 numbers, bro.
That's just
Like,
weird.
it
I
really
Dude.
would really.
Imagine you had
Yeah,
blast
dude.
last, dude. That would have been
Bro,
game
I would
over.
freeze
Game
up.
over.
I would be done. I would be
Game
so
over.
done.
Get me out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
Oh man. But like, yeah. My jokes can come across really shocking and like hard because it's not like a savior play. So I'm like, oh, this is what I think is funny. But though I might be a little bit aware of what other people might think is funny, I still kind of stay because it's really funny to me.
Nice.
And it comes across the wrong way a lot of the times. But if
Yeah.
you understand me or you're not like super anal, then everything's cool.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
So real quick, Odom, now we're moving on to the different types of play. Let's get into your kind of play.
Yep. You're right. So I'm SCFE play. And for me it kind of just focuses on what's going on, like the sensory aspects of it, and it like either highlights the value of it, like, oh, this is really cool, look at this thing, or it's just interacting with it, like messing with people, just like basically just focusing on experiences with people and like, you know, how we feel about it. Oh, this is shit, don't do that. Or actually this might be better than that. Like, I don't know, and just like doing stuff. So it's kind of just experiential. And I think SCFE is the most straightforward type of play. It's like the kind of epitome of play. It's playing with the experience of life and just pumping up your state, pumping up everyone else's state. And
Could you say it kind of is like gathering what feels good or whatever?
yeah, and
with
sharing
people?
it. Yeah, and like just sharing it around, like getting their experiences. Like they say they didn't like it, I'll be like, oh, I didn't like it either. We match on this same value, and just yeah.
Are
But I
you a
think
good hugger?
people have said that. I don't
Dude,
know if that's
you need to give me a hug.
I reckon be
yeah.
a
At some
I
point,
need right now.
at some point
Oh,
for
you-
sure.
Oh,
FEs give
I
the
was
best
gonna,
hugs.
I was gonna be like, oh, all you ladies, drop down if you want in the comments if you want Odom to hug you, but
I'm
he's
really
taking those.
Yeah,
Just,
look out for me.
just a friendly hug.
Yeah, friendly hug. But I think the difference though, I can do that aspect of play in like short term like periods, like with friends and stuff. But the difference between me and Savior plays with SCFE is they're not just doing those things moment to moment. They're also living their lives in that way. They want all of their experiences to be the highest quality, like the highest value. They want the best clothes, the highest status, so that they're kind of viewing life in that way constantly. I just do that very temporarily, like with people, like short term. I'll just be doing the fun, let's play around thing. But yeah, that's SCFE play. I think to me, could
I
be
love
wrong.
how you can notice your state change when you're talking about it. Like, yeah, this is the information, and then when I do it, and then back to the information. You know.
Wait, what do you mean? Like
Your state literally changed. Like you can see the
Oh.
demon play coming out when you're talking about how you do it.
Oh shit! I'm gonna have to watch this back. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah,
watch
man. So much,
That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
so much
So
learning.
let's see
Oh, wow.
Asees now. Let's talk about your play, and your play is NF, right?
Neffy.
Yes, NEFE.
Neffe.
NF.
All right.
Neffe.
I'm not gonna fuck this one up this time. I got it better.
Boom.
Gang.
What happened last time?
If only you're
this is the
prepared.
complete antithesis of play. This is an Aoi report right now. What happened last time was that I did not have a proper grasp on the question. Right as you said it, it sort of missed my mind, or I wasn't paying attention. So like I wasn't primed, and so then when it was my turn to talk, I had an idea, but I didn't have the actual thing to ground all of my thoughts, and so it just came out like I don't know where to go. But I was listening now, and I will now make up for this. So that was all just a rough draft. This is now rough draft version 2. So
Is that some play?
address the-
Did you just do play, dude?
No, that's not possible. It's a demon.
Ah, true.
You just literally slipped right now and processed it out loud.
Yes.
Ready, let's hear it.
I sort of use that as a sort of a segue into play sometimes, where it's like sometimes the easiest thing for me to do is just let everyone know what I'm thinking. and then they react, and then I can react to their reactions, and it's like, well, there you go, there's my play. But more specifically with the NEFE than I have already addressed before, in the more defining question, how it really plays out with me is like, I did talk about more the general idea of what that is, but like, let's talk about like the mechanics. So it's very much like where the NE comes in more is like, it's sort of like manipulating the emotional state of people in the moment, but it's also understanding why emotional states happen. And I feel like, and that's one difference between me and Manny, I think. I see this more where like what little FE I have down, I really have down, and I have down better than Manny, better than my mom, who's an elite FE, but they have everything else down. So it's like, well, then I can't compete at every level just where I have done everything else. And it's sort of like I have to prep for my play too with my consumed sleep. That's what I noticed. And I prep for the NEFE sleep. It's very, perhaps this is the immaturity or the lack of experience and variation in with my demons, but it's a very pure form. It's not like consume or sleep where I can kind of do the other versions, or where I can even multitask. And this, it's like sort of most evident with Blast, but like plays like right there in like no man's land, where it's a little hard for me to do anything else while playing, because it's like, it's more out of fear than anything else. I would say I think I've been forced into enough situations to where I can multitask, and then of course that is part of play, where instead of multitasking between different people, I would have to reduce the number of groups that I'm doing, and then perhaps do something completely tangential. But it is the case that it's more, I'm more scared of messing it up, so I'm not likely to take any more responsibility in that regard. And then if you want to sort of go down the demon chain with Blast, whenever I'm blasting, it's so hard for me to do anything else. But that's just in reference to the demon state of play. And so whenever I'm NEFing, it, like right now, like for me, since I'm Blast last, how I have to do things is sort of like I take things in, and then I work on it in my consume with my sleep. And so it's like, it's very much an intense interaction between NETI, and then they're kind of ganging up on my SI, forcing it to work, because it's like that one lazy coworker that doesn't want to do it and just steals pens and stuff. But it's like,
you got someone in mind, don't you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I got a few people in mind, but
must be some nice pens.
Dude, I got some bomb ass pens. I'll show you later. No, seriously.
So what's your point?
Yeah.
It's ballpoint. There you go, NEFE, right? And jokes is a really good example. It's like, well, if I can make you laugh, and since I can figure out how to make you laugh, and any really helps with the wit, then it's like, that's a really good way. It's not like, that doesn't have a lot of substance, insofar as you can't, like, that can't be the only thing you have like in your bag of tricks, but it's a really good way to get people's guards down and sort of let you know, hey, I'm a sane and reasonable human being that you can interact with.
Dude, that's so cool. I've never had it explained like that, with the NEFE knowing how to make someone laugh. It's awesome.
That's the best thing. But getting back to what I was saying with the sleep, it's like, since I'm so good, I'm really good at recognizing things. I'm kind of really bad at recall. That's where I have to sort of work when it comes to memorizing things.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
when it comes to these things like preparing for these episodes, I know probably a week in advance, I would say what the idea is. And so, and I get shit from these other guys for not writing it down.
And the time
that's
and
where
the
my-
time stamp on what you're saying.
Yes,
Not
and
being
this
aware
is
of
not blast at all. This is just completely play, and I'm totally like, and that's the difference. But like when I'm blasting, I don't want anybody to interrupt me. But when I'm playing, I want everybody to fucking jump in and give me.
What'd you say?
Yeah,
their
give me
say.
shit.
It's
Just
like
kidding.
Jump in.
Yeah,
Nice,
and
dude.
so I know what I want to say. I just perhaps don't know the best way to say it, just going from thinking about it then to saying it. So in these episodes, it's so helpful to have you guys talk about it. And then I'm like, oh, right, that. And then within this context, with you using you guys as sort of a proxy for the tribe, I know what you guys are talking about. And so you guys sort of act as my OI a little bit. And so then I don't have to OI as much. And so you guys are basically compensating for that a little bit. And then I just kind of share that from there.
That's a great example.
Cool.
yeah, man, that was pretty sick. That was like
You ended that perfectly.
yeah, man.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, because like if you're giving a speech or whatever, then you'd want to like make the audience laugh so that you can feel comfortable blasting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let me get
Also,
Odom
before-
to say something real quick.
Yeah, guys, this was lovely. Unfortunately I have to leave because I have to do job which I need to prepare for. So
Nice.
yeah, this
So
was
I'll
fun.
just
You
Well done.
guys,
I'll just
Congrats.
read what you have to say for the rest of the video, because I like to
Yeah.
talk.
You're
And
basically
you have some great
Yeah.
information. Okay, I have to do the same Odom voice, you know, and then peel my eyes back when something bothers me.
Hit my head. Oh, what was I thinking? Oh, jeez.
That
do it
physical
at the
play with
same
the
time.
emotions.
You gotta do it at the same time. all right, okay.
Dude, that could be the next thumbnail.
Yo.
Yes.
All
All right.
okay.
See you, Manny.
This was lovely.
All right. Have a good,
Peace
Get
out.
outta
do
here.
a good job playing with your interviewer, Manny.
Yeah, man. Just
Yeah.
play.
Yeah, I'll
thank
try
you.
my best. All right, see you guys.
Mob. Alrighty.
Who's
Let's
go?
just go to Jono real quick so I can
Cool.
just go on a long blast tangent.
Cool. Mine won't be that long. Okay, so NETE is my play, and from what I understand, it's really like I really enjoy like creating solutions and ideas, especially in the moment. Like when people are talking at problems, I'll think about all these ways to solve. This is at work, by the way. Like I'll think of all these technical ways to solve certain problems, and that's like I don't know. That's just how I think that play manifests in me, and like even like with people that I interact with on a daily basis, like you know friends and family. I'm always trying to help them solve like certain technical problems. The other thing is the generating ideas part. So like I like to also just come up with ideas. Like there was an example off camera that you guys were saying about we're running out of time for our videos, but I'm like, how about we just create like more in-depth categories to split them out over multiple videos. Boom. That's my blast.
Okay. Yeah, definitely technical. Working it out. That's what's up. So I'm going to just read a little note Odom left us about his SEFE kind of play. The interesting thing was he was demonstrating it with the facial expressions and literally like pulling his skin different ways. Like physical, emotional play is really interesting. So it's like focusing on the sensory and highlighting and interacting with the value of that thing that's going on. Like playing and pumping the value of the experience up.
So like they'll be really good at sex, right?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I mean, you can assume all you want, I guess. Yeah. So I think he touched on it a little bit there. So I'm going to say my place, TESE. So it's interesting because it's like I'm gathering news and literal event facts, and then I make fun of it. Like I make fun of literal things. It's like if I had let me actually give an example here. If I like grab a shoe and like grab the tongue of the shoe, I'll like something stupid
Right.
like that.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Look at my double masculine, like my masculine SE, just throw my shoe out the way. Or I'll say like I think ST is the dad joke kind of play, like it'll make things work in reality, but it's like so stale and it's humor. Like it's like also anti-jokes. I think stupid stuff like that.
Just real stale,
but
just real bland jokes.
Bland, but it's like, wow, I can't believe it. But like I'm using my NI at the same time to connect that. Like since I'm NI first, I think it's interesting and it's helpful to have that with ST play, because when I'm using my play, it's like I'll be like, oh, this relates to this and that relates to this, and so I'll make fun of something in a witty way, but it's still stale and dry in some form. So as long as you are not, I'm not going to say it, as long as you're paying attention to the pattern, you can see where I'm going with it.
Right.
So it's a very misunderstood humor.
So it'd be a struggle for senses.
Leon, something you said a bit earlier, it's like, oh, and one of the things I want to say to you, because you have your play is complemented by your blast so well, so then you're just so go. Sometimes I don't have the room to sort of speak, and my sort of gut reaction is to not say anything, because I don't want to make things awkward, right? And so then that's just another example of my NF play where I'm like, let's keep I have my, like, it's like NF play inside of my NT consume and SC sleep, where it's like I've already worked these things out, so I already know what I'm doing with my play, right? But then another thing that you said, or rather the thing that you did say before, was that, and I think you hinted to this now, which is why I remembered it. You were talking about earlier how you sleep and play feel very on or
extreme
off.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I was trying to get to this earlier. I failed. It for me, it's sort of like, and I think that you've noticed this too, because we've interacted. It's sort of like I'm kind of half on all the time. And so it's easier for me to sort of lean more into one than like just jump into one. But then it's also easier to lean back into the other one.
Yeah, I think that's so true, because like I'm not a person that's gonna dip their toe in something. I'm gonna like think about it, and dive in.
Right.
Like,
So it's like all or nothing. Yeah.
Exactly. And also, like another thing about ST play is like it'll do something because it makes sense to do it, and it's like if the trash smells, take it out put it in the dumpster. It's like, because that makes sense.
Right.
It's gonna do something for somebody else in that manner. And it also likes to make work into a competition, I think. Like, oh, I can do more than you. And it's gonna be like the numbers game in terms of like doing things. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. I do remember when you were talking about or whenever you talk about your weights, really, like whenever you talk about like being in the gym and seeing other people lift weights and stuff, it is very competitive. And I do think that I see that more with the SEs, because and perhaps TE as well, but I don't feel that way at all. It's like I'm just there to lift my own weights. Leave me alone.
I guess so, yeah. So we're gonna transition a little bit now. So I know we're gonna do pros and cons of play, but I'm just gonna like skim through this real quick. Low consume style, like play blast versus play consume. Play blast is the master of the outside world. They're double observing and focusing on the external needs, and play consume is more of the master of learning. They're constantly asking questions, double deciding, focusing on gathering a lot more. It's like, you know, they always say the Dave and Shan, when they talk about the shopping syndrome, where they're just grabbing so much that they can't like hold it all. They need like multiple carts for it and
hoarding
stuff.
information.
Yeah, but then sharing it later, but they're just hoarding so much. It's also interesting how if you can put it into a fight. I like fights. Play Blast is like Diego Sanchez, or it seems that way when he's fighting. It's just until he's like dead, and like he never dies, which is crazy. And thank God, I'm just talking metaphorically, guys. So play consumes more like a marathon runner. Like they'll pace themselves a lot differently and take their time to like learn, as we were saying, by observing and doing at the same time, but a little bit at a different pace. So running out of time. So real quick, some pros and cons. I'm going to say having a savior play is great if you want to get things done because the energy is so high. Being around that energy is super fun and inspiring. But a con of that would be like having savior play would make it harder to have self-discipline. So even though they have these amazing capabilities to get things done, if you can't stay focused and you're just going to like do random things and waste time and not really use that gift well.
Yeah. I think so for a savior play, I think they're really good at conversations. They're just great at just being able to jump in, be able to communicate with someone and just ask questions and just be like masters of conversation, which I think is aspiring. A con to play, I think, is if you're too much in your saviors, you're constantly going and spending energy for the tribe, you're going to like forget about yourself, you're going to wear yourself out. But you're also like not really going to give enough to yourself, and therefore, you know, it could lead to like, you know, depression or like, you know, who the hell am I, or like just kind of not understanding who you are.
Mm-hmm. So we're running out of time so much. Asees, do you have 20 seconds to add anything?
All right, one pro, using my mom as an example, she is too high energy, and sometimes all I want to do is for her to just shut the fuck up and leave me alone. So that's one con, but that's also a pro because she gets a lot of shit done, and she actually doesn't need a lot of physical sleep. And so I do admire that, but she is also really inefficient.
Wow. Well, all right. So what a way to end an episode. All right, guys.
Thanks,
you know
guys. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Put your feedback in the comments and let us know.
Let's all talk at the same time. Just a high energy play.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Full of energy.
See you in the land of chaos next time.
Bye. See you guys.
Boom.
Thank you so much for watching. Peace out. Yeah.